Hey everyone, welcome back to Integrative Psychonautics. I hope you're doing well out there. So as of recording this right now, it is New Year's Eve here in the US. And I thought, what better time to take a moment out and do a bit of a review of the last year of what's happened in 2023 and talk a bit about what's going to be happening in 2024 here on the channel and with my business in general, and share some of the updates and some of the news of what's been going on for myself and for the business here, kind of in the background, behind the scenes, behind the content of the videos, so that you kind of know what's going on with me, kind of where I'm headed with this work. And there's some important information here I want to bounce off of you up front. So if this kind of conversation, this kind of channel update, let you know what's going on with me and the business and my thoughts about everything, please watch on. If you're not going to watch the whole video, please watch this next section here where I'm going to share an important choice point about this channel and the content of the channel. So if you care about what I'm up to here on the channel, please watch this next section and join me and share your thoughts. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so like I just said in the introduction here, there's a bunch of stuff I want to talk about in this video, but before we get into the rest of recapping 2023 and all the things I've learned and what's going on for 2024, I want to just kind of lay at your feet. I want to ask you a question that is pertinent to all of us and how I navigate information on this channel. You and I, well, especially you, because I want your input here, have a choice to make in terms of the content on the channel here. Let me try to break this down. I'll probably talk a bit more about it later on in the video, but basically the choice is this. I've realized that there's a whole set of content that I would really like to talk about that is both deeply pertinent to psychedelic therapy and psychedelic healing and psychedelic work, but is also not directly about psychedelics, but is more broadly about self-regulation, how to work with the nervous system, how to heal yourself. That is rooted in a bunch of epiphanies and clear new understandings that I gained this year about, let's call it, working with the nervous system. So there's this broader set of topics that has to do with, let's say, attachment work, relating and relationships, understanding the world around us, bringing ourselves back into balance, working with regulating our nervous systems when we get stressed or dysregulated. A bunch of topics that I think are really maybe more broad, more universal, perhaps more deeper, more emotional, and perhaps less obviously about psychedelics on the surface. But these really, the more I've really explored, doing psychedelic work, really are at the heart of psychedelic therapy. And so there's an interesting choice point I could make here where I could keep this channel essentially very niche, very targeted around psychedelics and personal development and more of the psychedelic end of things. And I could make a second channel on this topic of working with the nervous system and regulation and attachment work and how this all fits together. That's kind of separate, but obviously going to be overlapping. So I could start a separate channel about that topic and invite you guys over to it and kind of build a second brand parallel to this channel. Or I could kind of expand the conversation on this channel to obviously still include psychedelics and psychedelic therapy and personal transformation work and spiritual growth and all the stuff we already talked about here, but also start to expand the scope and bring in all this other content that I really want to start to talk about that really reaches more into the relational, more into attachment, more into what it means to be a human being, more into what it means to be a member of society, and these kind of broader topics that the more I go into this work and the more I do healing work with people and the more I have these conversations with my clients and the more I study and the more I read, the more I learn, the more I see that there's this particular vantage point, this particular viewpoint that really needs to be communicated that isn't really being clearly articulated out there, that is deeply, deeply relevant to all of our healing, psychedelic or not, right? And so what I'm asking here, what I would really like to know, so please leave a comment down below. Maybe I'll put out a poll on the channel here as well to try to get more feedback. I want as many answers as I can get around this to really get a clear take on what's meaningful and what matters to you. Do you want me to keep this channel targeted specifically around psychedelic work and psychedelic therapy, and keep it narrow, and then start a second channel and give you the option to subscribe to both? Or would you feel like it's more appropriate or more interesting to start to weave in all of that attachment and relational content into this channel and the topics here, and have a bit more of a broader scope perhaps in the discussion, while still including obviously psychedelics and psychedelic therapy and spiritual growth and all this other stuff. What would you prefer? What makes more sense to you? What would work better for you as an audience member? I would really love to know. If you could do me a favor, if you don't watch the rest of the video, please leave a comment down below on what you would prefer so that I know how to organize this going forward, because this, what I've started to discover, is a major epiphany for me, is quite frankly a whole new modality of work that I could build a whole career around. But I want to, and it's really at the heart of psychedelic therapy, but it's also just at the heart of healing outside of psychedelic contexts. So it's something I want to teach, it's something I want to talk about because it's deeply healing and empowering for all of you. But I want to, really respect the topic that we have here, which is psychedelics. So I'm a little bit torn, essentially, as I'm sure you're gathering by the way I'm kind of rambling about this. So what do you think? What would work for you? I'd love to know. If you can, again, leave a comment down below. It would be so helpful so I know how to organize communicating with you as an audience. Okay. That point's out of the way. Let's talk about the rest of 2023 and, summaries and where I'm at with the business and what's going on with the courses and all that kind of stuff. What a weight off my shoulders just to get that question out there. Sorry if I rambled a bit. It's hard to describe without giving you all the information. So hopefully that made sense. Let's pivot and talk now about what's going on with the course, right? So I've mentioned in a few videos, and I've mentioned to some of you privately, if you've interacted with me, that I've been building a course over this last year to offer, which I wanted to have out really quite honestly by now, but is still on the way. So the long and the short of it is that I've been recording this course probably since summer and kind of slowly kind of chipping away at it and working on it. And it is a course about how to have a mystical experience on psychedelics, specifically using psilocybin, LSD, mescaline, some sort of classic psychedelic, to have a true spiritual, transcendent, non-dual, mystical ego death experience. For those of you that are curious about this or want this kind of access to this kind of experience in a protected container, in a safe, guided way, this is a course on how to have that kind of experience. So I've been working on it for a while because I feel like it needs to be out there. It's an important piece. And it's a passion project of mine, to be frank. But somewhere this fall, the hard drive that I was saving all the videos files to corrupted. So I'm still working on getting that data back. And that set me back a bit. And that was a bit of bad news. And I thought that might have been the end of the course. But here's the good news. I've been uploading the files before that corrupted to the website I'll be using to actually run the course on. So the course is already up as recorded and intact. So the good news here is I just need to finish recording the rest of the videos, get that all up, and kind of version 1 of this course, which I'm sure I'll be kind of iterating on and updating and improving over the years. But version 1 should be up and finished pretty soon. My hope is to get it all filmed and edited and up, let's say by the middle of January, ideally in the next 2 weeks, maybe by the end of January. But ASAP, I want to get that up and get that complete for you guys. And so that will be on sale and offer very soon. It's going to be deep. It's going to provide a lot of prep instruction on how to prepare for a psychedelic experience, including exercises and techniques that you can do to kind of, if you've never had an actual mystical experience, it can be very strange and alarming. So there's a lot of kind of preparing your nervous system with different kind of meditation techniques and, visualizations and breathwork exercises and things to tune your nervous system so that you're better at being able to open up to that experience when it's unfolding. There will be an audio and probably a video, but there will be no picture. It'll just be like a black screen version of a guided session that should be about 60 to 90 minutes. That should take you through this mystical experience. And then there will be support videos afterwards that include things like grounding practices, integration practices, how to work with like big experiences that kind of blow out your, old models of understanding of life, these kinds of things. So it should be a pretty whole, complete package. Excuse me. I'm pretty proud of it. And I think it will be really useful for anyone who's kind of more interested in the kind of deep spiritual side of psychedelics. So enough said about that. Let's talk about the next thing. Okay, so the next thing I want to comment on here is just how much the channel has grown over the last year. This channel grew a lot this year. It's been amazing. I forget what the number was at the beginning of the year, but my guess it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 people, give or take. And now we're just about to hit 800 here. So the channel has doubled in size over the last year. The community has gotten a lot bigger. It's gotten a lot more active. There's a lot more of you who have been vocal. There's a lot of you who have reached out from my appearance on my interview with Dr. Yo, which was an awesome experience. And you know, I just met her this year. So that's a new contact she's been a great new friend and ally in this work here. Shout out to you if you're watching, Dr. Yo. And overall, there is definitely an expansion of the impact of the message that I'm sharing on this channel and curiosity around this intersection of psychedelics and these different forms of working with the nervous system and spirituality and personal development, how this all fits together. I'm getting more and more interest around all of this, which, you know, quite honestly is awesome. It's amazing. It's an honor. So many of you have reached out, you know, even privately with emails and questions or, you know, wanting to do a call, that kind of a thing, expressing interest in working with me. And so many of you that I've met have just been such lovely, good, sweet, kind, intelligent, thoughtful, amazing people. So I just feel so blessed. It's been an awesome year in terms of growth of the community, growth of the message. So if you have been watching for a while and you've kind of watched the channel grow from say 2019, where it was really small and I was just kind of figuring out how I wanted to talk about all this stuff, to now, thank you for being along for the ride. And if you're new, welcome. It's really been an honor to have everyone along. Super excited for all the stuff I have to share. Like I kind of said in the intro and in the last section here, I've learned a ton this year, and I'm still integrating and figuring out how to apply all of this in a way that I can really teach it and demonstrate it for you. But a lot of what I've learned, I've been applying in my private sessions with my clients, and they are getting absolutely amazing results. It has been incredible to see people who are dealing with some really significant stuff, I'll put it that way, making turnarounds relatively very quickly and having really amazing healing experiences. So I'm really excited to share all of that with you. So thank you for being here. I absolutely intend to help the channel grow more. My focus, as always, in case that it's never been clear, is much more on quality of message and impact of message and clarity of message over, for example, clickbaiting you excessively, or, really trying to spread the message wide, or really trying to like aggressively market this channel and market this. I'm trying to move at a rate that's organic for me as a person who is still on my own healing path and still growing through my own kind of stuff, and I'm trying to market this in a way where I'm keeping like a certain level of purity and clarity, and not just kind of, leaning into being a talking head, or just kind of, regurgitating the standard kind of talking points of the psychedelic world or the therapy world, et cetera, et cetera. So thank you for being along for the ride, and welcome to all of you. And I'm just super excited. I intend with these new courses that I'm making to do a lot more community building. So if you resonate with my message, and you feel like I'm onto something here, or we're onto something together here, please watch this space over this next year, because there will definitely be opportunities to get more involved as a community and do some like amazing healing work together. Okay, let's talk about the next piece. So another major piece of what happened for me this year in terms of growing my skill set and developing myself as a guide, as a coach, as someone working with psychedelics, is I went and did my first proper underground guide training earlier this year in the spring, out in California. And full disclosure, I had initially recorded the whole travel and kind of was going to do like a travel blog or travel vlog kind of thing, and record my impressions of the travel and impressions after each day of the training, and my thoughts of what I was being shown. But I decided not to share that for a bunch of different reasons, and I think that was the wiser choice. But I did make a summary video of that. You can go back and watch it. And, the honest truth here is that my impressions from that training are a bit of a mixed bag. I made some amazing friends in the experience. I really got to touch base with some incredible teachers and really listen and learn and get a very clear sense of at least that school of guide work and what's involved in that. There were a lot of great bits of information and a lot of great, bits of learning around the whole thing. The whole experience was a lesson and a teaching in and of itself. And through that really kind of lit a spark of insight and understanding that has really carried me very far this year. So yeah, this has been a huge year in terms of leveling up my training. I've also, alongside the guide training, I've been, reading voraciously and learning a lot about different types of, approaches to therapy, and integrating all of that into what I'm doing here. So, learning from AEDP, for example, which is a trauma modality, learning more from somatic experiencing over the last couple years, learning, let me see, what else have I been learning about? Learning more about IFS and parts work, more about attachment work, and, George Haas's work and Dan Brown's work, and just kind of really like going deep with all of this stuff, looking at Hakomi and starting to integrate the ideas, the concepts, the principles into my coaching and into my approach of understanding how to work with altered states of consciousness. So in terms of my skill set as a guide, I already had skill from working with myself before, from sitting people, from, that kind of a thing, from doing guided work, kind of a long story that connects to the course, but guided work that goes all the way back for me, that goes way back to my late teens and early 20s, honestly. But this year was really a whole nother level of refinement of understanding this territory. And so in that sense, I'm super grateful. It's been an incredible year in terms of learning about psychedelics and altered states of consciousness and how to use that for healing and what the difference is really between recreational use, guiding, or kind of guiding, and shamanic work, which overlap a lot. They're not the same thing, but they're similar. And then, therapeutic work and where the kind of lines are between them and, also where they overlap. So that's all been just incredible to get really clear about. And as part of that whole kind of period in the spring where I went to the guide training and I was kind of studying and I was, doing a bunch of medicine work myself, I had, this amazing epiphany. I had this amazing aha moment of much more deeply grasping and integrating what it means to heal, how to work with the nervous system, how all these different modalities and models and approaches and views of the psyche and the mind and the body and the emotional body and the spiritual body and how all that fits together from all these different schools of thought. I kind of stumbled upon an insight, a way of understanding this that kind of really fuses them all together, fits them all together. So the way I often describe it to people right now is, if you think about all these different models of therapy and different approaches to working with people for healing, if you think of that like a Venn diagram, so Venn diagram is where you have like a bunch of circles, and they kind of overlap in different ways, and that kind of like creates different subcategories where they overlap. If all the circles overlapped and you kind of have that sweet spot in the middle, I feel like that's what I really got clear about and what I really have come to understand now. And this is something that kind of quite honestly became this like understanding that emerged in kind of a moment, but the more I unpack it, it's really a very deep set of understandings and a very complex set of understandings. My clients who I've been working with privately have been getting the benefit of the beginning of this epiphany over this last year. It has been absolutely transformative in the work I've been doing with them and the work they've been doing on their own in their own lives outside of our sessions. And this is really going to be the foundation of one of the major flagship courses I'm going to be creating over this next year for you guys. So, yeah, I realize I'm being very vague and mysterious about this. And that's because I want to be really intentional about how I communicate this whole set of ideas and understandings. But let's just say it has a lot to do with attachment theory, and attachment work has a lot to do with relating and a relationship being at the center of healing. And it's what I started to uncover here is just so deeply human and organic and beautiful, and makes so much sense when you really wrap your head around it, and reaches so deeply into these places where we need to heal. And it fits so beautifully with psychedelic work that I've just been absolutely amazed. So, yeah, I would be remiss to not talk about this, because it is, is the epiphany of a lifetime, probably. If I'm being honest, this is like one of those moments where you have like a sudden aha that changes everything for you, and could be the trajectory of an entire like new career or new approach to things, or a whole thing, right? Like a whole thing opened up for me this year. And I'm still integrating it. I'm still making sense of it. I'm still figuring out how best to present it to you guys, but I'm thrilled about what I've been seeing with this. And I'm really excited to share it with you. And so I just want to honor that and capture that here on video, that was a part of 2023 for me, this profound realization. And so, yeah, I'm so psyched to share this with you. And the cool part about this is, and this will be a video I'll be doing soon to talk more about this idea, it really reaches into like the center of what's happening in therapy, but it's not necessarily, strictly speaking, therapy. And it also really fits and maps into psychedelic and altered states of consciousness perfectly, and, trip sitting and how they work, when people are really high in psychedelics. And so what I'm starting to understand here is that if we're doing really good healing work, let's say, that probably will work across different contexts, whether you're in an altered state of consciousness or not. And this is something I want to make another video about and kind of unpack more. But, the running thought around psychedelic therapy is that it's special and different because there are psychedelics involved. And, the part of the truth in that is there are a lot of therapy modalities and approaches that they're trying that don't fit well with psychedelics, or at least don't fit with as the dose goes up. At lower doses, there are probably a lot of forms of therapy that would work, but this approach that I've been learning about, and just that I feel like recognized is the word. I didn't discover it. I didn't invent it. I recognized what is there, what's always been there. This approach really maps onto both. And my feeling now is that if we're doing really good healing work, it should work both inside the context of psychedelic therapy and outside the context of psychedelic therapy. So the cool news about this is, as I teach you guys this, it's really just one skill you have to get a good feel for, that is, healing, whether or not you're in an altered state of consciousness. That's all I'm going to say about that for now. Again, this is going to be a huge topic I'll be talking about at length, no doubt. So I'm just going to leave it there, but just enough to say that this has been a huge year in terms of learning, and I'm super thrilled about what I've learned, and I can't wait to share it with you. Okay, so let's talk a bit about 2024. So the first thing I should mention here, I don't want to get into too many specifics for obvious reasons, but you're going to know, and you're going to notice this on the channel, is that I'm going to be relocating here in the near future to a new state, to a new city, to a new area. I'm going to be moving to Colorado. I don't know if it's going to be a permanent move. It's a bit of an exploration on my part. Part of the reason to go, of course, is the decriminalization around psychedelics, and quite frankly, the networking of other psychedelic therapists, or, people in that world that are kind of in the Denver area and the broader Colorado area. I also want to go just because I need a change of pace. It just feels like there's more opportunity and more alignment for me as a person in terms of, the things I'm interested in and kind of the things that are available there. So yeah, I will be relocating to Colorado in the near future here in 2024, sometime probably January or early February. So you will definitely see me in a bunch of strange locations that is not this bedroom behind me, as I kind of figure out where I'm going to stay and get settled and get plugged in there. So that will be at very least interesting. And I think probably offer a lot of opportunity in terms of connecting with, people to learn from, mentors, et cetera, et cetera. So really excited about that. Okay, another thing to mention, which I already kind of said in the video, but I want to just kind of make clear here. As soon as I get this, this mystical experience, psychedelic guided experience course out, I'm going to begin immediately working on my first flagship course, which is going to be based on that content that I was just talking about here, of this epiphany I had in 2023 about how to work with the nervous system, how to heal yourself. So, my intention is to try to get that out by mid next year, summer next year. So ideally somewhere around June, we have a course out that is a flagship course for you guys. And what I'm thinking right now, I don't know if this will ultimately be the form it takes, but it'll be an online course, of course, that you can do at your own pace with, an option to join, a community around that, an online community where we will probably do regular, I'm not sure how regular yet, but regular Zoom calls where we can practice this kind of work together. So you can kind of ask me questions about it if there's something that was unclear in the course. You can meet other people doing this work, and we can practice together in terms of understanding how to heal ourselves and how to work with the nervous system. I think this is going to be an amazing, amazing community of people. I think this is probably going to be an amazing opportunity to do some amazing healing work with yourself and support yourself, and create secure attachment in your nervous system. And it will be fairly affordable. It's not going to be totally cheap, but it will be fairly affordable. And I think that that's going to be an incredible piece. There are more courses I need to build because this is only still, as deep as this one topic is, a small fraction of the larger picture that I'm trying to communicate here to you guys. But it is a whole and complete approach to healing and working with yourself that I think can take you really far. And so I'm thrilled to make that. So that, all things going as planned, as intended, one never knows, but all things going right, that will be something I'm going to start working on right away, try to have out for you by the summer, and it should be really, really something special. And also, before I get that out, I'm kind of intending to do this before then. I want to also create a free course for you guys too, to start to frame and put together all of these ideas. I've been perhaps painfully aware that my content here on the channel, while useful and valuable and kind of multifaceted in presentation, is also a bit incoherent in the sense that I'm kind of brain dumping and sharing these different ideas and these different snapshots and angles on this kind of path and this process. But I haven't really clearly communicated the kind of A to Z process or the path or the set of understandings that you really need to know to be able to see how to heal yourself with what I think is good clarity, let's say. And so I intend also to be making a free course this year to put up for you guys that you can take whenever you want, self-paced again, that is intended to kind of set these understandings in place for you. It probably won't deliver a lot in terms of techniques and processes and the mechanics and how to get into it and start doing it, but it'll really start to clarify this territory for you, which I want there to be out there and be online so that anyone who's like, I'm just starting to heal myself and work with myself and gosh, psychedelics and therapy and what do I do and where do I, so it can kind of answer and orient people. So it should be really good. I'm really excited about that. I've been, quite frankly, I've been obsessing about how to frame all of this and think about all this for the last year. And I'm really, really excited to share that with you too. So that should be coming out sometime in the coming months as well. So there will be a free course and this flagship course after, of course, I get this, this mystical experience course up. So there's a lot that I'm doing here in the background for you guys to kind of give more coherent, focused, clear, useful information for you. So yeah, so that's good news as well. And I guess that's really all I have to say for now. If you've watched this far, thank you for watching. I know I'm verbose. I know these videos tend to get long. I really appreciate all of you. I hope, that you have an awesome New Year's Eve or an awesome New Year's and that you're safe and that you're healthy. I hope that you have an awesome New Year's Day. And I hope that 2024, regardless of all the crazy weirdness going on in the world, is for you a healing, positive year, regardless of everything that's going on. I'm so grateful for everything that's happened here on the channel over the last 12 months in 2023. It's been amazing. It's been such a huge blessing in my life, and you all are a part of that. And so I'm deeply grateful to all of you who, take the time to watch these videos and hear my kooky rambling and hear me out. And I'm so grateful that you get any value out of all of these kind of things that I've lived through and learned, and lessons I've taken and experiences I've had. And I'm just super grateful to be able to contribute to your lives and give back, honestly, and to share and to communicate what I think ultimately is a hopeful message. And that's really my intention here, is to really be steering you and anyone else who will listen towards greater well-being, greater happiness, greater wholeness, greater alignment. That's really my intention here. So thank you. Thank you for making my year. Thank you for being an amazing part of it. And thank you for your engagement here on the channel and all your views and all of that stuff. I'm not really big into the vanity metrics of the channel. Quite frankly, I almost never look at all the data in terms of, all that stuff. But thank you for participating and helping this to grow. And thank you for recognizing that there's something of value here and being engaged with me around that. So I wish you all the most wonderful new year, sending you all so much love. I hope you're happy and healthy and safe. And I'm really so excited. Honestly, I know it sounds cheesy, but I'm super excited for what's to come over this next year. So I'm going to lean into it, and I hope you do too. And I'll see you guys in 2024. Much love.